welcome back to the Space and Grace podcast. Y'all, this is season 3. I am so excited to sit here in my makeshift audio studio space. I'm so excited and nervous to bring you more thoughts, more engaging conversations on season 3. This season, I am challenging myself to be more authentic, to be true to who I am. My first 2 seasons, I wrote every word you heard me say. I literally typed it out and rehearsed it. But it was only because I wanted to make sure I was perfect. But because of that, I stopped recording. So I'm in this space where I don't want perfection. I want progression. I want growth. And I want authenticity. And I want that for myself and for you too. So here we are. Now, understand me well. I research every topic. I am thoughtful in my word choice and transparent in my knowledge. So you will hear me recite things, but I will continue to be as transparent as my healing allows and make you aware of when I can. So if you're still down with me, let's get season 3 started. Welcome to the Space and Grace podcast. I am your host, Tanisha Harris, and I am your CHEO, Chief Honesty and Encouragement Officer. Here at Space and Grace, we focus on healing, laughing, thriving, and loving. And we do that by granting ourselves and others the space and grace to evolve in very practical ways. Y'all ready? Let's do this. Episode 2 in this mental health and therapy conversation series. How are you all doing? Are you doing good? Let me know. As always, before we jump in, let's take a moment to breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Okay, now how are you? Everyone doing good? So today we're talking about making the decision to choose therapy, being okay with choosing a therapist. And I'm going to do this by way of sharing my story and sharing my thoughts. Working in public health, mental health has always been a part of our work. Most of the time, you can kind of decide the areas in public health in which you would like to work: mental health, maternal and child health, community health, policy, healthcare, biostats, epidemiology. But for my program, we were required to learn all the things. So there wasn't a particular track. We had to learn about everything. And so mental health was a subject that we talked about. And I've never shied away from mental health, but I did grow up, hearing terms like, oh, that person's crazy, or yeah, they went to the hospital, or things like that. And so as I began to learn more about mental health and I started to have my own life circumstances, I started to look at the word and the disorders a little differently. So I decided in 2015 that I was going to get a therapist. And it was basically on the suggestion from my current boss at the time. I was living in Birmingham and I was a new single mom. By that time, my daughter was 2. I was in Mississippi. I needed a job. I was working on a grant. I couldn't find anything. I got offered a job in Birmingham, so I left. And I've never been shy or afraid to move to a new city. I mean, that's always been one of the things that I wanted to do. Just city here, city there, just go and learn and do all the things. And so that didn't bother me. But of course, as I got there and I started to live and work and play, there were things that just started to come up, and I started to respond to those things in a way that didn't feel like it was me, but I didn't really know how else to respond. I didn't really know what else to do. And so, on a one-on-one with my boss one day, she mentioned that the employer that we worked for had an employee assistance program, and we were able to have free sessions, eight free sessions, 8 free sessions. If any of my peers who have had therapists know that 8 free sessions, I think, is really good. Not enough, but it's such a great start and such a great foundation. And she did that because she had noticed some attributes or some characteristics of me responding to things as a single mom were some of the things that she did as a single mom. And so we had that conversation. I took her up on her offer. I joined in the program. I found a therapist, and she was even so gracious as to say, which most employers should, you can do this during work time. And so I did. And the first thing that I had to do, and the first thing that you're going to have to do to be okay with a therapist, to make the decision to actually go and see a therapist, is to remove other people's thoughts. People are going to have an idea of what it is they think a therapist is, or why they think you're going, or what's wrong with you, or all the things. And you're going to have to remove that. Literally, you're going to have to take your fingers, ball them up into fists, just like you're throwing away your clothes and your laundry hamper, and you're looking for something. That's what you're going to have to do. Like, nope, nope, don't need that shirt. Not looking for that dress. I got to get going. I got to go. You're going to have to do that. And that's hard, but it's necessary. One of the ways in which I did that was I didn't tell everybody that I was getting a therapist. I knew that there were going to be people that didn't understand. And most of the times when we don't understand things, we form these crazy thoughts about them and these crazy decisions. And so I did not tell everybody. I did not tell family members. As a matter of fact, one of my closest friends in Birmingham, she knew, and my best friend knew. That was it. So remove other people's thoughts. Don't tell everyone. The second thing that I had to do in removing other people's thoughts was to be okay with my uncertainty. I needed to be okay with my doubt. I needed to be okay with what I was thinking. And I needed to be honest about that, because that is what's going to allow you to have the honest conversation with the therapist. So I didn't tell everyone. I gave myself the space and grace. Y'all see how I did that? The space and grace for my own uncertainty and my own doubt. And I was honest about that. The second thing that I had to do, and the second thing that you're going to have to do, is rest in your truth. That means being open and honest. I asked myself, do you really need a therapist? Yes, you do. Because you write your scripture, you pray, you know that God's got your back, but you need some tangible tools and tips. You need some effective coping mechanisms, and you need some action oriented homework to really drive you to sit with yourself and think about and meditate on the reasons why you act the way you act, or you respond the way you respond, good, bad, or indifferent. So you have to rest in your truth. My truth at that time, because your truth changes as life happens, right? So that's why I still have a therapist. Your truth changes. My truth at that time was I was upset with being a single mom. Working in public health, I knew all of the statistics, particularly for Black women. And I felt that everyone else was looking at me, but I was projecting. And so anytime someone asked me a mom question or what my daughter was doing, I came off snappy and very defensive when some people were just really engaging and really wanted to just know, like, girl, how did you do that? Because I've been trying to do it and I can't. And so I had to rest in my truth. I had to sit in that. I had to sit in how I was responding. And I also had to sit in how I was responding about being a single mom to myself and to my daughter. One of the best ways to really sit is to really learn how to be aware. And one of the best things that I've done about being aware is journaling. So since having a therapist in 2015, I've also journaled. And I would just write down how I felt. I forget grammar and punctuation and all the things. Sometimes I would just write bullet points. Sometimes I would just write pages. And then sometimes I wanted to be, wanted to make sure I actually had my punctuation. It just depended on how I felt. But I gave myself the space to write that stuff down. And so because of that, I had to be like, oh, wow. When I look back on February of 2015 and August of 2015, I was like, wow, okay. I could see growth, but I can also see where the gaps were. And the third thing that I had to do, and the third thing that you're going to have to do, is resist the challenge to give up. You are going to want to be like, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. I don't like this person talking to me. You all in my business. Girl, bye. I can do this myself. Lies. I'm here to tell you that we all need and deserve this space. It is important to our well-being. So, to keep me from resisting the challenge, I was honest with myself about that. I was honest with my therapist about that. When she would ask me things or say things to me that I didn't like, I was like, I don't like that and I don't want to do it. And the two people that I knew that I told about me going to therapy, I told them to hold me accountable. At the very least, I was going to complete the 8 free sessions. Y'all, having a therapist has been one of the best things in my life, hands down. But I had to remove other people's thoughts, remove other people's thoughts, rest in my truth, and resist the challenge to give up. Y'all, I told you, these are coming right out of the heart. So you're not going to get the perfection, but you are going to get the progression, and we are going to do this together. Let me know what you think and let me know your thoughts. Y'all ready? Let's do this. As always, thank you for listening and sharing your time with me. I hope you heard something that resonated with you, something that challenged you, something that encouraged you, something that loved you. I want this podcast to serve you well. If any of that has happened, please help me with the following. Subscribe, follow the podcast, share with your family and friends. Leave me a review. Let me know your honest thoughts. Send me an audio note and let me know if you want me to include it in the podcast. And send me an email if you have a topic or question you'd like me to talk about. I will have all of the links and the email listed in our show notes. Y'all ready? Let's do this.